Good morning. So in the last class, power the main services and functions of the PDCP sublayer, that is packet data divergence protocol. So here, can anyone tell what are the two random access mechanisms? Two random access mechanisms. Anyone?
Non-synchronous and synchronous.
Pardon?
Non-synchronous random access ಮತ್ತೆ synchronous random access.
Okay, good. So next today we'll discuss about the MAC and MAC or RLC overview. So here in the MAC and RLC overview, RLC layers will perform the segmentation or concatenation on the PDCP PDUs, which is based on size which is indicated by the MAC layer. So here the RLC will also pre-orders the RLC PDUs once they are received out of the order, which is possibly due to the HARQ processes in the MAC layer. So here in the RLC layer, which will also support an ARQ mechanisms, which will resides on the top of the MAC layer. Use one in to transmissions are exhausted. PD has not yet been received without any errors. So here at the transmitter and the so there is RLC entity for the single radio prioritizing the various user equipments that are multiplying from the multiplexing here the MAC layer will provide the services channel access the data services which are provided by the physical layer through the transport channels. So here coming to the next we have the data transfer modes. So here the RLC layers are performed by the RLC entities. So here the each RLC entity can be operated in the three different modes. So this we have already discussed in the third module. Modes in the sense, so here first we have the transparent mode, that is the TM mode. Second one is unacknowledged mode. Mode. So here coming to the transparent mode, that is the TM mode. So the TM mode is the simplest one. So here in the TM mode, so the RLC entity does not add any RLC header to the PDU, and no data segmentation or concatenation is performed. So here The TM mode is suitable for the services that do not need retransmission or not sensitive to deliver the order. So in the transparent mode, so only the RRC messages such as the broadcast system information message and the paging messages use the. So here TM mode is not used for the user plane data transmission, so that the RLC data PDU delivered by the TM RLC entity is called as the data, that is a TMD PDU. So here it is unacknowledgement mode. So here the UM will that is the acknowledgement mode will provide in sequence delivery of the data that may be received out of the sequences due to the HR process in the MAC. So but no transmission of the last PDU is required. Here the UM mode can also be used by the delay sensitivity and the error real-time applications such as the VoIP. So here the DTCH logical channels can also be operated in the UM mode, and the RLC data PDU which will by an UM RLC entity which is called as the UM data, that is UMD PDU. So here in the transmitter end, at the transmitter end, so the UM RLC entity segments are concatenates RLC SDUs according to the total size of the RLC PDU, which are indicated by the MAC layer. So here the RLC entity, RLC headers also included in the UMD PDU. So the is entity will perform the two. So here coming to the acknowledgement mode. So this is the AM mode is the most complex one. So which requires the retransmission of missing PDUs. In addition to the functionality license and data allocations. Delayed tolerant application. So here AMRLC entity which can be configured to deliver receive the RLC PDUs. That is the downlink control channel. And so here an acknowledgement RLC entity delivers PDU and the stress relevant information of the RLC PDUs. So here when the AMR portion of an AMD PDU, so it will result from the ARQ. So that the transmitted PDU is called as the AMD PDU segment. RLC entity, which is the can be used fully and that are detected to be lost, that are detected. This is about the transparent the data transfer modes, that is the transparent mode. Mode. Is there any doubts? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆಯಾ? So here we have the main services and functions of the RLC sublayer. So the main services and functions of the RLC layer sublayer will include. So first we have the transferring or receiving the PDUs from the upper layer, that is from the RRC and RRC for the CCCH channel, logical channel, or from the PDCP for the other cases. So the second one we have the error correction through the ARQ. So which is only when the RLC is operated in the AAM mode, that is acknowledgement mode. So in the third we have the concatenation, segmentation and reassembly of the RLC ASDUs, which is used only for the UM and AM data transfer. So at the fourth function we have the resegmentation of the RLC data PDUs. So which is only used for the AM data of the only for the data transfer. At sixth we have the duplicate detection. So here it is used only for the UM and AM data transfer. So next point we have the protocol error detection and recovery. So next we have the RLC SDU discard. So here for the UM AM data transfer, RLC re-establishment. Here in the LTE, the LTE defines the user equipment and exact functions which are performed by the MAC entities are different. Those performed in the E node B. So here the main functions of the MAC sublayer. These are the main functions of the RLC. So the main functions of MAC include. So the first one we have the mapping between the logical channels and the transport channels. And second we have the multiplexing or demultiplexing of MAC SDUs, which will belong to one or different logical channels. So next we have the scheduling for both the downlink and uplink transmission. Downlink for scheduling for the both downlink and uplink transmission. So next we have the error correction through the HARQ, with tight interaction with the ARQ in the RLC layer. So next point we have the priority handling between the logical channels and one user equipment or between the user equipments by means of the dynamic scheduling. So next we have the transport format selection. So here the selection of the modulation and coding scheme, that is MCS, for the link adaptation. So at last we have the padding in the MAC PDU is with the data. So these are the purposes of MAC and RLC layer. This is also very important. Some formats. So here we have the RLC PDU formats. So here the RLC PDUs can be categorized into RLC data PDUs and the RLC control PDUs. So here the RLC data PDUs which are used UM and acknowledgement RLC, that is AM RLC entities to transfer the upper layer PDUs. So which is called data PDU is a TMD PDU. The UM data, that is UMD PDU, and the AM data, that is AMD PDU respectively. So here the RLC control PDUs are used for the peer-to-peer signaling between the AM RLC entities as the two ends of the ARQ procedure. So here the different formats of the RLC PDUs are shown in this figure. So here the TDM PDU consists of only a data field. Data field has no RLC header is added. So the RLC header are different from the UMD PDU and AMD PDU. So here, but they constrain the common fields which include the formatting information, that is FI field. So here the FI field indicates whether the RLC SDU is segmented at the beginning or at the end of the data field. This is the RLC header. So next we have the length indicator field, that is the LI field. So here the length the bytes of the corresponding data field element which is present in the UMD. The next field we have that is the extension bit field, that is the E field. So here the E field will indicate whether the data field follows are a set of E field and the LI field as follows. So next we have an SN field. So here the SN field indicates that the sequence number of the corresponding UMD or AMD PDU. So here it also consists of 10 bits of AMD PDU and status PDUs. So and 5 bits or 10 bits of UMD PDU. So here the PDU sequence numbers which are carried by the RLC header is independent of the SDU sequence number, that is the PDCP sequence number. So here some of the additional fields are also available. So in that first we have a data or control field, that is a DRC field. So here the data or control field will indicate whether the RLC PDU is an RLC data PDU or RLC control PDU. So similarly we have a RIS, that is RF. So here the RF field will indicate whether the RF segment. So here at last we have the polling bit, that is P field. So here the P field indicates whether the transmitting side of an AM RLC entity request a status report from its peer AM RLC entity. So here additionally the RLC header of an AMDP segment will contain the special fields which will include the segment offset field, that is SO field. So here it will the SO field will indicate the position of the AMD PDU segment, the original AMD PDU. So next we have an last segment flag, that is LSF field. So here the LSF field will indicate whether the last byte of the AMD PDU segment corresponds to the last byte of an AMD PDU. So here the status PDU, which is used by the receiving AM RLC entity to indicate the missing portions of the AMD PDUs. Denotes the format of the status PDU. That is RLC header, that is a data control field. Type field, that is a CPT. ACK field. Extension field. Extension bit 2, that is E1 and E2, that is extension bit 1 and 2. NACK, that is a non-acknowledgement SN field. It is SO start bit, SO start field, and SO end field. So these are the fields which are considered, which are included in the status PDU. So coming to the control PDU type CPT field. So here the CPT field indicates the type of the RLC control PDU, and in the release 8 the status PDU is only define the control PDU. So acknowledgement SN field. So here the EACK underscore SN field will indicate the SN of the next not received RLC data PDU, which is not reported as missing in the status PDU. So the extension bit 1 field. So here the E1 field indicates the whether the set of the NACK underscore SN, comma E1 and E2 as follows. So similarly the extension bit 2. So here the E2 field will indicate whether the set of SO start and the SO end will follows. So coming to the negative acknowledgement, that is SN negative acknowledgement field, that is NACK underscore SN. So here this field indicates the SN of the AMD PDU detected. So start and SO end field. So here these are the two fields. These two fields together indicate the entity. This is about the formats. There is RLC PDU formats. So next we have an MAC PDU formats. So we are coming at the MAC PDU formats. So here the MAC layer will receive the data from the RLC as the MAC SDUs and passes the MAC PDUs to the physical. So here a MAC PDU consists of the two parts. First one is a MAC header and the MAC payload as shown in the figure. So we have MAC header and MAC payload. This is MAC header and this is MAC payload. So here the MAC payload will consist of 0 or more MAC SDUs. So 0 or more MAC control elements and the optional padding. So here the MAC PDU header will consist of 1 or more MAC PDU subheaders, while each subheader corresponding to either a MAC SDU or a MAC control element of the variable sizes. So here the format of a typically MAC subheader is as shown in the below figure, so which contains of 5 fields. So this is the example of a MAC subheader, which consists of 5 fields, that is R field, E field, LCID field, F field and L field. So here coming to the R field, so it is currently resolved to. So similarly, it is as the flag indicating is more fields at the present in the MAC header layer. So here if it is set to 1, so here if E is set to 1, so another set of at least R or LCID fields which follows. So otherwise either the MAC SDU or MAC control element or the padding will follow. So coming to the LCID field. So here the logical channel ID, that is LCID fields, will indicate the logical channel instance of the corresponding MAC SDU or the type of the corresponding MAC control element or the padding. So here there is one LCID field for the each MAC SDU, MAC control element or padding, which is included in the MAC PDU. So format will indicate the size of the length field. So it is set to 0 if the size of the MAC SDU or MAC control element is less than the 128 bytes. So otherwise it will be 1. So there is one EF field per MAC PDU sub layer for the leader and the subheader corresponding to the field fixed sized MAC control element. So at last have the L field. So here the length of the field will indicate the elements in the bytes. So here the size of the L field, which is indicated by the F field. So here for the last subheader in the MAC PDU. So the MAC PDU subheader will correspond to the padding and the subheaders for the fixed size MAC control elements. So here the MAC control elements are also used for the signaling for buffer status reporting. So the discontinuous reception, that is a DRX command. So timing advance command and the user equipment's power headroom and the user equipment constellation resolution. So here there is also a transparent MAC PDU which will consists of a MAC SDU without any MAC header, which can be used if there is a one-to-one correspondence between the MAC SDU and MAC PDU. So here the MAC PDU of the random access response has a different format, which is shown in the figure. So this figure indicates the MAC PDU for the random access response. So here in the case so the random access, so there is a MAC header that consists of one or two subheaders and the optional padding. So here for the each MAC RAR, so is of fixed size and consists of 4 fields. So that is the reserved bit. So it is set to 0. It is set to 0. So next we have the timing advance command. So it will indicate the index value, which is used to control the amount of timing adjustment that the user equipment has to apply. So it is of length 11 bits. So next field we have the UL grant. So it will indicate the resources to be used on the uplink. So and it's of the length 20 bits. So at last we have the temporary. It will indicate the temporary identity that is used by the user equipment during the random access. So here the size is 16 bits. 1 minute. So yeah, sorry for the inconvenience. So next we have the ARQ procedures. So sorry, here the UL grant. So here the UL grant, which is indicates the resources to be used on the link. So and it is of length 20 bits. CRNTS. So here this field will indicates the temporary identity that is used by the user equipment during the random access. So here the size is of 16 bits. So moving on to next, we have the ARQ procedures. So here a highly reliable selective repeat ARQ protocol, so which is used in the RLC, and a fast HRQ protocol with the low latency and low overhead feedback, which is used in the MAC layer. So here the HARQ protocol, which is responsible for handling transmission errors by performing the retransmission based on the HARQ process, which the incremental redundancy or chase combining, which is handled by the physical layer. So here the ARQ protocol in the RLC layer is used to correct the residual HARQ errors, mainly due to the error in the HARQ ACK feedback. So here the HARQ procedure also are only performed in the ACK. So here therefore the latency which is associated with the RLC layer ARQ is much larger. So here the second layer ARQ protocol is to correct the error event due to the HARQ feedback errors, and this additional ARQ protocol provides a much more reliable feedback which is protected by a CRC. So here the ARQ retransmission, which is NAK AM PDU from its peer by the HARQ delivery failure notification from the transmit MAC entity, which can happen when the maximum number of HARQ transmission is successful without any successful transmission of the transport block. So here the status reporting is triggered by setting the polling field of the RLC data PDU to 1, and the NAK reporting is contained in the status PDU. So here on HARQ delivery failure is notified by the MAC entity. So when the MAC PDU is not delivered successfully after the maximum number of HARQ retransmissions. So here giving an ARQ NAK so that the transmitter side of an AM RLC entity will deliver the AMD PDU if it fits with the total size of the RLC PDU, which is indicated by the lower layer. Otherwise, it will segment the size. So, number of the ARQ retransmissions is reached, the AMRLC entity will notify the upper layers. This is about the ARQ procedure. Next, we have an RLC overview. So here coming to the RRC work. So here the RRC layers will take care of the RRC contention behavior control and the user equipment measurement reporting and here it is also responsible for the broadcasting system information and paging. So next we have the RRC states. So RRC idle and RRC connected. So here this figure will simplifies the RRC state machine which is handling at the radio resource. Then this is the states of the RLC LTE. Will simplifies the machine handling and radio resource management, which will control the RRC states. So here a user equipment is the RRC underscore connected state when the RRC connections has been established. So otherwise the user equipment is in the RRC idle state. So here in the RRC idle state, so here the user equipment can receive the broadcast of the system information and the paging information. So here in the RRC idle state, so there is no signaling radio segments and the cell selection or reselection. So here the system information mainly contains the parameters such as the priorities of different frequencies. So here the user equipment that identifies the equipment tracking area. So here in the RL idle state, so the user equipment also monitors the paging channel, which will detect the incoming calls and it will connected state. So here the user equipment has an UTRA and RRC connection and a context in the context in the UTRAN, so that it is able to transmit or receive the data from the network, that is E node V. Here the user equipment monitors the control channels, that is the physical downlink control channels which are associated with the shared data channel to determine if the data is scheduled for it. So here the user equipment can also be report the channel quality information and the feedback information to the E node B to assist the data transmission. So here in the RRC connected state, so the network controls the mobility or handover of the user equipment, which will the user measurement information. So next we have an RRC functions. So here before going into the different functions which are provided by the RRC protocol, so here we'll first study the concepts of the signaling of radio bearers. So here the radio bearers are defined as the radio bearers that are used only for the transmission of RRC and NAS messages. So here there are three different signaling radio resource radio bearers in the LTE. So that is the first one is the SRB0. So which is used for RRC messages using the CCH logical channels. So here SRB1 is used for the RRC message and NAS message prior to the establishment of SRB2, all using the DCCH logical channels. So at last we have the SRB2, which is used for the NAS messages using the DCCH logical channel, so that the SRB2 has a lower priority than the SRB1 and is always configured by the EUTRN after security activation. So there are four functions of the RRC protocol. So the first one is the broadcast of the system information. Second one is the RRC connection control. Third one is the measurement, configuration and reporting. And at last we have some of the other functions. So here coming to the broadcast system information. So here which is divided into the master information block, that is MIB, and the number of synchronization system information blocks, that is SIBs. So here the MIB will include the limited number of most essential and most frequently transmitted parameters that are needed to acquire other information from the cell, and it is transmitted on the BCH logical channel. So here in the SIBs, so other than the SIB type 1 are carried in the system information, these SI messages. So here similarly the SIB type 1 will contain the parameters which are needed to determine if a cell is suitable for the cell selection, as well as the information about the channels. So in the second function we have, that is a RRC connection control. Modification and release an RLC connection, which will include the paging, initial security activation, establishment of SRBs, SRBs and radio bearers, which will carry the user data. And measurement configuration and the measurement reporting for the interfrequency, as well as inter-RAT, that is the radio access technology mobility. So here at last we have the other functions, which will include the transfer of a dedicated NAS information and non-3GPP dedicated information, which will transfer of the user equipment radio access capability information, and which will support for the self-configuration and selection. So this is about the RRC functions. So next we have the mobility management. In that we have S1 mobility and mobility. So here S1 mobility is very similar to the UMTS serving radio network subsystem, which will help to reallocation the procedure and reallocation procedure. Next we have the extreme mobility. So the mobility